adults use the Suzuki method? Keep watching to find out. If we haven't met, hi, I'm Megan. I'm a violinist and teacher currently based in New Jersey. I've been playing the violin for over 20 years. I have both my bachelor's and master's degrees in violin performance, and I'm a Suzuki trained teacher. In addition to being a Suzuki trained teacher, which essentially just means I've taken classes on how to teach the method, I was also a Suzuki student myself. Today I'll be answering the age-old question, can adults learn to play the violin or any instrument using the Suzuki method? If you're not familiar with the method, I'll give you just a brief history. The Suzuki method was created by Dr. Suzuki in the early 1900s. Dr. Suzuki was a violinist and also worked in his father's violin factory. One day, Dr. Suzuki had the realization that all Japanese children speak Japanese. And at first you might be thinking, well, duh. But if you've ever tried to learn a language as an adult, you know how difficult it is. And yet, all children seem to do so with ease. This realization formed the two key principles of the Suzuki method. The first one is the importance of listening and learning by ear. Children learn to speak a language through listening. They are exposed to the language pretty much from birth and are constantly listening to it for the rest of their lives, but until they speak their first words. So the importance of listening is heavily stressed in the Suzuki method. The other key principle is that talent is not born. All children, regardless of their IQ, mental capacity, whatever, learn to speak the language, which means that all children can learn how to play an instrument. The only difference is the amount of time it will take them. Now, I know what you might be thinking, okay, Megan, well, that makes sense. It's all well and good, but how does it apply to adults? So first of all, I can only speak to my own experience, but I've been teaching adults since 2019, and at this point, I've taught hundreds. Obviously, the way that you teach children and adults has to be different, no matter what method you're using. So with my beginning children's students, I teach them 100% by ear. After we go over things like how to hold the instrument, we jump into the differences between scales and arpeggios, recognizing those in our music, telling if notes are higher or lower than one another, and the process of trial and error, which is essentially how you learn to play by ear. With adults, unless they have specifically said that they want to learn to play by ear, I do things a bit differently. Again, after we cover posture and play our first scale, I actually go ahead and have them start to read music. Now, the goal here is not to be able to read music fluently in the first couple of weeks, because let's be honest, that's just not going to happen. I started playing the violin when I was 7, and I don't think I could read music fluently until I was like at least 15, so it's gonna be a long process. However, I often find it helpful for adults to at least understand how to read music, because it is a lot harder for them to memorize things in my experience, at least at first. And this, of course, is barring any previous musical experience. The goal here is to have them start to practice reading music and have that music as a reference so that they can look at it if they forget a note. But ideally, they should be listening to the piece and practicing it a lot so that it becomes internalized and eventually memorized. The reason why I love the Suzuki method is because it's based on skills. You're not just learning random pieces, but each piece has a specific reason behind it. You're either learning a new skill and or refining one that you've just learned. However, one of the detriments of the Suzuki method is that the skills are not always obvious. Even I, a very well-trained violinist, did not recognize these skills just by looking at the paper before I had my Suzuki training. So it can be very hard to learn the Suzuki method without a teacher. Additionally, with my adult students, I love to sprinkle in outside pieces. If they have particular tunes that they want to play, I will find ways to fit that into our lessons as well, because I want them to have a sense of joy when they are playing. One thing remains the same in my teaching with adults and children, and that is breaking things down into very small bite-sized pieces. This is great for children because that's all they can process, but it's also great for adults because it is not overwhelming. If they can just focus on one or two small things, those will compound and add up and lead to much bigger things. So in short, Yes, you can use the Suzuki method if you're an adult, but you don't have to believe me. You can try it for yourself. When you join Learn Violin Online at any level, you'll access my huge Suzuki course, books 1 through 5, where I not only teach you how to play the pieces, but also reveal the important skills behind them and give you exercise to practice those skills. The link is always in the description. You can start your free trial today. What do you think about the Suzuki method? Did you use it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.